All right, guys, what is up? It is the Sports Rally Walker, and yes, special night. It's not Thursday, it's Tuesday. What's up, guys? Yeah, man, we're doing a special night tonight. Yoshri will be at the Lightning game. I did get some bad news today. I didn't get season credentials to the Rays. Just found out a few minutes ago. That's okay.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to do. Thing I did last year and just apply for certain series like I did a year ago and go when I mean, I also have the shot of going to cover a minor league baseball team in my area. That's the A squad for the Phillies, the Threshers, which is a 20-minute drive from where I live.
Nice.
So it's not far down the road. So it's my ball and it's A affiliate, which probably means that none of those kids are going to make it to the majors. So
not so fast.
So, but it's still, I mean, it's still experience that I can put on a resume or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
slap it on your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You're at the ballpark. You meet a couple managers, meeting a couple guys that are part of management here or there, a couple players. It's great networking, man.
Also, guys, my partner, the guy that runs the sports supplement company that I partnered up with, he's going to come on and talk to us about this stuff. He asked me, he goes, should I introduce myself? I'm like, you can do that all. He goes, how long should I be on for? I said, as I told him, as we tell all our guests, you can stay on as long as you want. You want to be on here for 5, get off at 5. You want to stay on here for 2 hours, stay on here for 2 hours. We don't care. I don't have a commercial break, so we don't have all that stuff. So yeah.
Personally, I like 15 minutes. That way it gives everybody a chance to ask a couple questions, lets them promote their product, and then it's not a waste of either of anybody's time. I see 5 minutes, it's just kind of a waste of everybody's time. Obviously, if you're only available for 5 minutes, then I wouldn't tell Aaron Judge no for a 5-minute interview.
Oh yeah.
But for me, I think one segment.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That back in the day when I said it that one time, I kind of misspoke. It's totally my bad. That, like, what did I say? Like, kind of like flippantly, I said like 5 or 10. It's almost just like to innocently, just throw it out there. Once you get in, everyone's having a ball, which is always the goal, and 98% of the time it's going to happen. It's just open ended. You just get them in the door, and everyone has fun, and it's just no time limit. But it was almost like if you sense they're busy, but we all know the routine. It's all good.
Oh, I asked for 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good look too. Totally.
Yeah, enough time.
Because then it sets them up to know, because that's basically a traditional segment in radio or in television.
Sure.
Yeah. A 15-minute is, you have the A block is about 15 minutes, and then you have an 8-minute segment in the B block. Then the C block is about 15, 20 minutes, and then you have another 8-minute block, and then you have, so it goes from 8 to 8:15. Then you have a 2-minute commercial break from 8:17 to 8 in a 1 hour show, or usually it's sold in 1 hour blocks, right? So and then then you'll have a commercial break, and then you'll come back and wrap up everything, or run a short. You have a short segment. You go to break, and you come back at 8:30. You have another long 15, 20-minute segment, usually about 15. Then you go to commercial, you come back at 8:47. You do another 5-minute segment, go to break, and then close the hour. Obviously, 2-hour shows are going to run a little bit different of a schedule. You might actually have 2 20-minute full 20-minute segments in each hour, just so that they can work the commercials in better. And broadcast television.
Also, if they say, "Hey, man, I got 20 minutes, 30 minutes around 9:30," you play off their schedule, so you adjust accordingly. But just get them in the door. But I think overall, man, 15 is pretty solid. That's always a good look.
I always thought it was too quick.
I just don't want to think you guys to think I was just like quickly being like, "Oh yeah, just join us for like 2 minutes or 5 minutes." No, I try to do it the right way too. I do it the right way too.
And then we have
because 15-minute interview is usually industry standard.
My approach was just getting them in the door. It's usually 15 or 20 or a half hour. Just get them in.
in sports broadcasting. Well, now with
Two angles,
podcasting,
same end goal with two angles that are kind of on the same road either way.
yeah.
Get them in the door, and then adjust the schedule if they have more. If we get a set schedule down to a minute, wow, that's awesome. That's it can be done. So I like the free flowing look too, man. And you guys hold the keys, man. I'm just a happy passenger. So there's a lot of great ideas, man. You guys are leading the way.
All right.
Hey, I want to ask you, did you see the controversy in the Isles game last night?
Heard about it.
I didn't see it, but the hockey game. You're talking about hockey game?
Yeah. I forget who they were playing. I'm gonna say Winnipeg, maybe. But so
the best team in the Western Conference right now, I think, is the Jets.
I forget who they were playing. I can
Let me see, bud.
I can look it up. So in the game,
my laptop still isn't fixed yet. So, but the tablet seems pretty cool. I like this setup.
They were playing the Blue Jackets yesterday. It was new as a blue
Jackets,
team.
Yeah.
Columbus, okay.
Blue Jackets.
So late in the third period last night, one of the Islanders made contact with the Blue Jackets goalie, and they waved the goal off. And they said no goal. And everyone's having a conniption fit this morning because it was minor incidental contact, and that's not the way the rule is written. The way the rule is written is that any contact with the goalie on a goal results in no goal.
Correct.
And if you watch the play, the Islanders player made contact with the Jackets goalie before the Jackets goalie made contact with him. And as far as I'm concerned, that's no goal. I think they got the call right. Because the way I read the rule, the way I interpret the rule, is that on contact with a goalie on a goal, the goal is nullified, no penalty. So the infraction is just no goal, because you can't award a penalty in that situation because the contact was incidental. It's just no goal play on. And then, of course, Columbus would go on to win the game in overtime. And I think at the end of the day, you cannot like a rule. I feel like it's the Tuck rule all over again, where people don't understand the rules because they think therefore that it's the wrong call. It's like, no, you have to understand the rules. It's rule 69, 1 through 4.1 through 0.4 explains how I can actually bring it up because I have it in my notes. NHL rule, I can post it in the chat. If I could post it, there we go. In NHL rule 969, goalie interference, an attacking player initiates contact with a goaltender, impeding or eliminating their ability to protect the net and stop the puck either inside or outside the crease, leading to a penalty or no goal. And then I can see everybody.
Crucial role, obviously, Adam. I mean, without that, you have to protect your house. It's there to safeguard the safety of the goalies, and obviously, you can't have the league and all these talented 220-pound forwards crashing like they should, like great, aggressive, strong hockey players are. They're not out there to sell cupcakes. They're hitting people and playing hard all night. They're looking to crash the net and put the puck behind the goalie, and they're going to mix it up with the goalie. The goalie is at a disadvantage. The rule is there, so the goalie's not getting just absolutely peppered with shots from 2 feet out. And just like lacrosse, you're not allowed to just get too close to the goalie. It's there to literally protect the goalie, or else they get swarmed with deflections, just like lacrosse, dude. With deflections and screens in front of the net. That's why it's so paramount for those defenders to keep the crease clean. If you allow the forwards not only to camp out, but then to proactively make contact with the goalie, it makes the goalie's really, really tough job almost impossible. So I'm kind of glad you broke it down like that. I mean, I just think it's important. I'm always all for contact in these contact sports. It's what the guys are playing. It's what they're signed up for. They're tough. They're hockey players, so that they're part of. They know what the deal is. But yeah, when it comes to hitting the goalies, you just got to keep hands up. It's like it is a bit like protecting a quarterback. It's a specialized position and a very important position in each sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why the rules are written that way. It's because
Yeah.
goaltenders, when
Also,
they're
you get
attempting,
nine or 10 goals of a game and an injured goalie every other night.
well,
Not every other night. You get my point. You'd have five times as many goalie injuries, maybe 2 or 3 times. You might have 12 or 15 a year instead of 8 or 9. I don't know those stats, but it would definitely spike without that rule, no doubt.
No doubt.
And if you read the rule, because there's an expansion to that rule and explanation.
Yeah.
The reason the rule is written the way that it's written is to A, protect the goalie, and B, to protect the goalie, and B, because the goalie is in a vulnerable position because they're focused on stopping shots. So they can't keep their head on a swivel.
Yeah,
So,
man. They're sitting in there. They're the Hornets, whatever analogy. They're in the Hornets nest. They're in the middle of, you know what, a lot of going down. They got to really, and they get so much moving action in front of you. I'm telling you stuff you already know, but imagine sitting on that crease looking out and you got guys sniping from the blue line and then 2 or 3 forwards tangled up. They're very savvy. You know, the smartest forwards are always creating blockages and screens. And so you can hardly see where the shot's coming from half the time. The goalie's got so much, at least protect his personal space, really. At least give him that.
yeah.
I mean,
And so
talk about a hard job, man. It's goaltending.
Yeah.
Damn, you're on edge for 60 minutes every night, for a couple hours every night. It's just, yeah. Otherwise they're lighting that lamp like 7 or 8 goals a game, I would think. Should be too much offense.
And well, to your point about quarterbacks, it's the goaltender is essentially the quarterback of the hockey team, in a way. In that he is look at how many good teams just don't have a goaltender. And you go from being, when you have a great goaltender, look at Tampa Bay. Without Vasilevsky, they're 8 or 9 losses, 8 or 9 extra losses.
We're up 4-0 right now over Pittsburgh, by the way.
Oh wow, they're on fire.
We're ready. Wow.
Good luck, John Brad.
And you how many saves does Vasilevsky have?
He has 4 right now.
They know you're arriving on Thursday, man. They're playing out of their minds. They're getting ready for Thursday.
Oh, they lost to Utah. My former roommate actually video called me from the arena in Utah. And actually, it's funny that you bring that up, Adam, because there was a goal called back in that game. Utah scored and got in the crease, and we had a rookie goalie in. They called it back for a goalie interference. Of course, that pisses off the home crowd, but it was you can't make any contact with the goaltender because, like you said, if you're down on your pads, you're looking at wherever the puck's coming. You're not looking at who's coming at you, and it's scary. I mean, and then you were talking, Alex, about lacrosse. I'm going this Saturday to cover.
Those goalies get ripped, man. They're getting 100-mile-an-hour shots. It's a lot like hockey, man. But you're on grass. You're not on ice.
I'm covering USF lacrosse this Saturday. The girls have only lost like 2 or 3 games this season.
Have fun, man. It'll be fun, dude. That's great, man. It's growing out there, man. And you're in a really cool growing spot for it, and you're reporting on it, man. That's a sweet gig. It'll be fun. Sorry, bro. You were saying about the really good point about the crease too. Like, what do you think overall? Do you like the rule going forward? Do you think it has to be as strict, or do you like that they really enforce
I do.
Yeah.
I like it strict. I like that they enforce it strictly. As long as they call it, it's what I say about every rule. Call it both ways. As long as it's called both ways, I would much rather have black and white rules that are strictly enforced both ways.
Yeah.
And call it all year long. Don't call it if you're gonna call it in game 27, call it in game 7. Call it in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Call it all year.
Yeah.
Call it equal. Both sides. If you're gonna call it. Both sides have got to get it. Yes. Is it gonna piss off the home fans when they get a call they don't like? Yeah.
Yes.
But it's got to go both ways. It's got to. I'm a big believer in the equalizer theory, where at the end of the year
Yeah.
everything equalizes out, and you never let it come down to a ref's decision. And I think in this particular instance, you can go back and you can watch the tape and you can tell me what y'all think. But in my opinion, it's like high sticking. It's like any other penalty. When you're with the Giants, Russ is going to the. Sorry, not to change subjects real quick. We'll get into that
It's
later.
Jameis and Russ in New York. The Giants
Yeah.
Sucks for Russ.
signed there
Us.
earlier.
Or not Russ, Jim.
I don't mind. What was that? It's kind of a rough, like, cliche, so don't quote me. It's not what I say. I've heard it through the years. Like, when you have, it's almost like if you have like 2 or 3 goalies, you really have, like, if you have Russ and Jameis, do you really even have one really good, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. Let's call it for what it is. Let's see it for what it is. Like, it's a 1 year, like, it's really like a Band-Aid. I like Winston a lot. It's not, and Brad, it's not, I know Tampa, like, I always quietly kind of root for them. I love the fan base there, but and some really good players, obviously smoked the Eagles 2 short playoffs ago. So really good team. But so I just think the situation in New York, because they have like no offensive line, no Barkley. So Winston's going in there, really good receiver and Malik Neighbors, but I'm just saying his supporting cast, like, he can't just go in there like and plug in like he did on the Browns at times and easily move the ball. Like, you know what I mean? They don't really. I don't know if they have as much talent at other positions than the Browns do. Browns have better receivers than the Giants. Maybe overall, they have better offensive. Some really good defender. Like, so I just don't know if it's good for Jameis. And the thing is, if he has 1 or 2 bad even quarters, they might pull him. It's just going to be a weird.
Well, now,
and now you got Russ. Every minute they're looking at the sideline. Maybe we should put him in, and the other guy has a big ego. When am I going in? Weird. I was with either one, but having both together, I'm like, oh no. It's just a weird composition of a roster. Jameis and Russ, get one veteran, follow the textbook that a lot of good teams do, right? We all know this. It's pretty like textbook. Draft a guy. Hello, you got a great. Even if it's not the first, move up, maybe get like Dart. I'm not a big quarterback guru for the college class. You guys are more so, but I read stuff. I see some of the big games, especially. So it's like, but again, I don't like just like, now we can wait for like a Jalen Milroe, because then you're just like settling just because you need a quarterback. So all these guys, the Giants, maybe in like 1 or 2 years, are they still not going to have their guy long term?
Well,
I don't know, because I don't know if they have their guy in this draft. So they're in like no man's land. Like, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't really know what to do.
Well, I'll jump in on that.
With Jameis or Russ, you're not going to the playoffs. So what are we doing?
Well, I'll jump. Do you want to get in on that, Lou?
Well, I mean, because if you're thinking Russell Wilson is going to be your star quarterback and whatnot, no, he's not your answer. I mean, he's pretty much washed up. I mean, yeah, he has years, but now he's in the back end of his career, and I don't think it's what the Giants are going to be looking for. I mean, you think he's going to take you to the Super Bowl or even the playoffs, for that matter? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't mind either one.
That's what's weird, because the Giants know they're rebuilding. They'll tell you if they jumped on a podcast, exactly. One of their personnel guys, I'm sure they would say the Giants know they're pretty much not going to the playoffs for a year or 2. So why sign not only one of these guys but 2? Just sign one, and then as you're rebuilding, you're drafting a quarterback. But having like two old expensive veterans that both are going to be wanting to play, they might be a little bit upset on the sideline during the game. Like, it's just a weird move. Brad, do you see anything that, or what do you guys think overall? Lou, we're in agreement there.
Yeah, he's a dinosaur.
Good.
I mean, Wilson's a dinosaur. I mean, he's seen better days, and if you were looking for trying to get someone to get into the playoffs and whatnot, wrong guy. You need to go with somebody. You need to go younger.
I like Winston again in the right situation. Russ is just like, if he's with a great defense, even like Pittsburgh, it's not enough, and the Giants don't have that. So it's like, at best like a 500 team, and they still have an old quarterback a year later, or no quarterback next year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I mean, I know I've said it before, but do you guys see a quarterback, Adam or Brad? Like, is there one quarterback? Could be the Giants. What are they sitting at number 3? Is there one that you're like, wow, they should definitely get the guy? Because if they're not sure, they can't make the wrong move.
We can ask Jeff because he's the one who grades
Yeah,
every.
that's the you
And a
got to
couple.
draft like if they have like Travis Hunter, who could be like the best thing since Neon Dion, like the best athlete the NFL's seen for a long time. The guy's a I don't try to like usually like build up people fault. The guy's apparently just going to be, the fastest player on the field, the best athlete on the field most games. So like, would you pass on that guy to take a quarterback you're really not even totally sure that's going to be the one? Like,
well,
the Giants are stuck in like the middle of nowhere. Are they getting older or younger? Are they going to win that? Is it kind of like just nowhere?
well, if I can have a moment to talk, if you'll be quiet for a second, I'll answer your question. I don't like. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing.
A Royal Regal. Go for it,
So,
man.
so I don't like this. I like both or neither. I like either or neither.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're gonna take, you already inked famous Jameis to a 2-year deal, then let him play. Draft an offensive lineman at number 3 or Travis Hunter if you're high on Hunter. I'm not sold on Hunter. I don't know about his football IQ. I don't know if he can adapt to the NFL game. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be able to go both ways. I don't think he'll be able to go both ways in the NFL, playing 90 to 100 snaps in the NFL. Just too many games, too much wear and tear. If you're really high on him, then at 3, I don't hate it. If he comes in, if he scouted, if he combined well, if you liked him in his pro day, if you're high on him, then I don't hate him at 3. But I love a lineman at 3. I think about Joe Alt, I think about Joe Thomas, and I think about all these great offensive linemen that came out early in the draft.
That's the
It's a
safest
safe
pick.
pick.
Yeah.
It's a safe pick. One, in a bad year, you can let him go out there, take his licks, as long as he doesn't get hurt. Ideally, he can have a bad year. Obviously, if you have to feel for Wilson or Winston,
Crab
but
legs.
simply I wouldn't have signed Russ if I was the GM in New York. I already have Jameis on the roster. I'm gonna sign. I'm planning on tanking this year, taking my lumps this year,
Yeah.
and drafting Arch, trying to be working for that number 1 pick next year to take Arch Manning, because I think Arch Manning. I want to see 1 full year of Arch behind the helm at Texas.
The Mannings, the Giants, and the league wants that, so it could very well happen.
And I think if you I want to see what Arch can do as a premier, full-time pro style quarterback at the University of Texas, and see if he has the gumption, the wherewithal. I don't need him to win a title. I just need him to play well. He's not going to lead the Longhorns to a 16-0 season, but if they go 14-2, can make a run, and he plays well, and he doesn't cost his team, he doesn't make bad decisions. He doesn't try to press. He doesn't try to win the game on every throw. And to kind of the knock on McCarthy from a few years ago, the Michigan quarterback. If I can rep my team here a little bit,
Yes.
the knock on him was he didn't throw the ball enough. And I think the biggest thing that a lot of people forget is that he wasn't asked to throw the ball. When he did throw the ball, he was very competitive, threw the ball very well, but he also turned around and handed the ball off 45 times in 27 games.
They can do it. They don't necessarily need to do it. Yeah.
And he had
it's not his fault.
No snap, no fumble, no quarterback running back exchange problems. No, I think that's super underrated in a quarterback game is his ability to get out from under center and get the ball to the running back and make that exchange. Because how many times a year do we see mediocre teams with mediocre quarterbacks have fumbled center quarterback exchange or quarterback running back exchanges and it just makes the game. Well, you look at if you go and you look at the end of the Lions game against against Washington, there was a center snap exchange that went bad. Golf dropped the ball, and the Commanders jumped on it, and
Yes.
it really changed the complexion of that game. The Lions didn't score. Washington goes down, and they get I think it was 17 minutes, 17-7 if memory serves, and that was really all. Detroit could never catch back up. Washington was able to just put the clamps on and never let up, and I think with the Giants being in the situation that they're in, with not having a very good defense, not having a very good offense, and bringing in one washed out veteran and a never was, I as a from a fan standpoint, if I was a fan of the franchise, I would be questioning
Yeah.
management's thought process. Well, I am. I'm not even a fan of the team, and I'm still questioning the
It's
management's
just you can
thought
imagine
process.
the two of the most popular footballs, mega popular everywhere in America, obviously. But I mean, the New York media metro area, the media capital, right there. And the Giants and Jets. There's so many. It's not the South. It never will be. Obviously, football's king there. I get that. I'm not trying to compete with the two levels of football, but there's a lot of hardcore, really fun, really knowledgeable Jets and Giants fans. It's still a big football area, and it's embarrassing just to think for them. Like they don't want to go to games. The Lions, they're loving it. The Brad's teams, like they're always in the game. The Giants fans, they have like old grandpas, like really good tradition where they were awesome in the 60s, 60s. Obviously, Phil Simms in the 80s, Lawrence Taylor. They used to be like the kings of the league for a couple of years. So
they were king
but
shit.
they've had those. I went to a couple of games. You see season ticket holders that are like 75 years old. They're not even staying for half the game. They're just like wearing bags over there. So like it's embarrassing. Like both teams to be this bad it's been like half a decade now.
At least.
Well,
is either franchise even close to a playoff game? Like it's crazy. They're both that bad for this long.
Well,
it's really bad.
To your point about football in New York, how nobody's clamoring. The Mannings didn't sign with Carolina. They didn't sign with Atlanta.
Yeah.
They didn't sign in Dallas. I mean, as popular as football is down south, New York is still king shit.
It's still fun, and of all people, like Eli Manning is a country boy. He fell in love with New York, and then now his family loves it. People do. There's a lot of fun things to really get enchanted by. A lot of cool different stuff to experience. But I just think like from a marketing, we can kind of see it coming from a mile away. Like if they can somehow help make it happen. Just look back to Eli, his brother, when the Chargers. No, I'm going to New York. Like the league for money, for marketing, they want him to be a Giant. Slam dunk.
Archie's uncle.
This time next year, it's going to be all Eli. Are the Giants wherever they're going to be? They're going to be moving up, or like you said, tanking. And I don't see, even if he struggles at all, like with his family, with his last name and his legacy, I think like anywhere in the top 10, unless he totally bombs out. Even if he's not like a superstar quarterback this year, I think either way, the Giants are like, they're set on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does it make sense? I think they're already like, because that's been a rumor around these circles, like on the East Coast for a couple of years. Like the Giants, like they're in love with him. So, I mean, I think it should happen because if they win 3 or 4 games, they're going to have their pick of anyone they want. So.
And I think everybody's.
And I don't even know how great he is. A lot of it remains to be seen. I don't know how good Manny's going to be as a pro. What do you guys think? Like we haven't seen him too much.
No,
that's what I said. It's too early.
Nothing's automatic.
I want to see a full year of tape on him. I want to see his football IQ.
Earn it.
He has the physicals. He has the measurables. He's tall enough. He's big enough. He's got the arm strength. But can he make the right decision and it's not just about throwing the ball, it's about calling, it's about reading defenses.
Sure.
Because there are plays in a game that determine the outcome of the game that just get lost in the shuffle. It's
Mhm.
2nd and 8. Can he make the right read on the linebacker? Can he recognize that run blitz that's on? When they're playing Ole
Yeah.
Miss when they're playing LSU in Death Valley, and there's 90,000
Wow. Yeah. I
screaming
can't wait.
just crazies,
Yeah.
the Tiger crazies screaming "Go Tigers" in
Let's
French.
see what he.
Can he handle the moment? Can he handle the moment and read that, on 1st and 10 from their own 20, kick off, it's third, it's let's say Texas defers, they get the ball back, they get the ball to start the second half down by 10. And can he read that line? They kick off, and kickoff goes out of the back of the end zone. Can he come up to the line, be cool, even though can he stay cool under that kind of pressure with 90,000 screaming crazies? And can he come back up? Can he come up? I'll let you go here in just a second, Brad. I just want to finish what I'm thinking. And can he come up and read that linebacker that's in the A gap, that's on a run blitz when they have a run called? Can he check out of that? Is he confident enough in his ability to check out of that run, get into a hot read, and throw in behind that blitzing linebacker? Go ahead, Brad.
No, I was gonna say, but he's gonna get tested right away. They open the season in Columbus against the Buckeyes.
Wow. Yeah. Right there.
Okay.
He's got to prove himself,
Well,
dude. And it's a blessing and a curse having that name on the back of his jersey because he's got to earn it. No one cares who you are. He's I'm Manning. No, he has to go out and earn it and do a great job and live up to it. And like you said, both you said right away, he's going into the belly of the beast, into a lion's den on the road. So he's going to have to grow up real fast, and we're going to see what he's made of. Quite frankly, if he wants to be the man and say, "I'm going to go to New York," let's see you earn some wins in college first, and then maybe you worry about the pros. And I don't know if you really should call where you want to go. Don't be a Shadir Sanders, but your family is like that. They kind of like direct the league where they want their sons to play. I'm just here for the ride, so we'll go with it. But I haven't seen a lot of as much tape on him as you guys. So
there isn't.
and
You're not the.
one last thing on the name on the back of the jersey too. Keep in mind, man. I know like LeBron's son isn't living up to it quite yet, but those guys, other rookies that didn't get a chance or that got cut or are making 1/10 the money or didn't get drafted. You know what I mean? Other veterans that are fighting for jobs. Since he's kind of like going to be viewed as like a pretty boy. Oh, he's Eli and Peyton's brother. He's getting everything handed to him. He's getting everything handed to him. You don't think the Cowboys and the Giants, the Commanders and the Eagles and all the defenders, they like going after a rookie quarterback, especially a big name, kind of big ego guy. Like they're going to be blitzing him a lot his rookie year in the NFL too. So he's got a lot of developing to do in a short amount of time.
And
a lot of growing up to do.
Well, it's just point of order.
They like to hit a Manning. I would bet money they'd like to hit a Manning on Sunday. Those guys.
Point of order. He is not their brother. He is their nephew.
Oh, nephew. My bad. I always say that as a. Sorry. Yeah.
Just point of order. He's a nephew. He's Cooper's son. He's the third Manning.
That's right.
Forgotten Manning brother's son. Because Cooper got sick and he couldn't play football.
That's tragic. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Terrible. So, I will say, thankfully, he gets a big one out of the way first week. Goes into Columbus. It's early in the season. We don't really know how good Ohio State's coming off a championship. Kind of expect them to take a step back, kind of like Michigan did. They don't have their quarterback situation is up in the air. Graduated a lot of seniors. We'll have to see how they retool. So he kind of gets a break in that regard. I'm more worried about SEC play in the swamp, in games in Death Valley.
Week 4 they play against the Gators. They're on the road swamp against. I think it's week 4. Here's how the schedule breaks down. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the SEC.
Go ahead.
They got the Gators, then they play Oklahoma. It's the Red River rivalry. At home. They have them in Austin. They're at Kentucky. That game shouldn't be any problem. They're at Mississippi State. That game could be iffy in Starkville.
Yeah.
They're home against Vandy can be one of those teams now that they're like
Vandy
the
likes to
Iowa
jump up and fight you.
and bite you.
Yeah. Vandy's arrived. They're legit now.
Then they go to Georgia. So he has to go
Okay.
to Athens and play.
In the hedges.
They're home against Arkansas, and then they're home against A&M, which if they had to go to College Station, that's a tough place to play football too. The Aggies packed that house pretty good.
There's
He's got a lot of growing up to do fast. As good as the pedigree is awesome, but he just hasn't had the real time. Excuse the French, like bullets. He hasn't had the real life experience, the game experience yet.
Yeah.
So much more important than any practice or any film. Any film you can watch, it pales in comparison. Just at 5 minutes on the field is so much different. That's how he's going to grow. Get on the field.
I'll say this. Everybody's brave on the range, but when the bullets are incoming, that's where we separate the men from the boys.
Yeah, exactly.
When them targets start shooting back at you, everybody's brave on the range, but when them targets start shooting back at you, and they're sending
Totally
6'2", 6'3", 6'5", 250, 300-pound guys at you, we'll see. I don't think he'll have my biggest thing about evaluating a quarterback and evaluating isn't arm strength, isn't size, isn't mobility. It's IQ. It's football IQ. When I'm looking at a quarterback, I want to see how they handle pressure and handle non-rush, like the Vandy game, for example. Obviously, it should be, or the Kentucky. You brought up Kentucky, and that one, is that at home? Real point of clarification. Is that in Kentucky or is that at home?
Let me check, but I think they are. Hang on a minute. Let me look here. They're in Lexington.
Okay,
so
that's a great example. Kentucky loves to play spoiler. They're kind of like an Indiana or an Iowa, a team that's probably not going to be great, but every 5 to 10 years, somehow they have an 8-4 season that makes, oh well, Kentucky's arrived, right? And then they slip right back to 6-6 and make the poinsettias forgive me for caring about you, Bowl. So that's the game. Those are the games that I'm, obviously, if you have to get up for Ohio State, if you have to get up for Florida, if you have to get up for, Georgia in Athens, in Gainesville,
you don't belong on a football
field, you're already lost.
You're in the wrong industry, the wrong field.
But getting up for Kentucky, especially a game you're expecting, they'll probably be a 20-point favorite.
Yeah.
Even on the road, even in Kentucky, they'll probably be a 15, 20-point favorite. And those are the kind of games that I look at when I'm evaluating talent, when I'm evaluating young players. How do you play against mediocre teams? Because if you play bad against mediocre teams, you're not NFL ready, bro.
No, you can't afford to play up or down. Up or down to your competition is erratic, and it's not winning formula for any. It's like you got to consistently come out there, and you're not going to skate half speed and go -9 because the opponent sucks in 12 minutes. You have to be playing full, or else you're going to get your butt handed to you anytime you play a good team the next day. So you have to stay consistent and not pass it. This isn't the YMCA on a Friday night. Like you got to stay dialed in. My thing is with him, Adam. I love what you're saying. Like it's going to be a big year. We all agree on that. I'm thinking now, like he's going to be trying to do a lot to prove that he's ready because he's been sitting and he's already like, I got his eyes to wherever, New York or wherever. He's going to be trying to do a lot and prove that he's like the man. And then again, not to harp on it, but like it's real. Rookies, other kids like in Kentucky, those guys. Oh man, Archie Manning. All the camera crews are going to be there watching the Manning. Those defenders are going to be swarming him. He's going to be getting hit a lot more than your average quarterback in college football this year. Watch. I'm not wishing anything on anyone, but it is what it is. Like he's a big shot.
They're gonna want to get to him.
It's like a rookie coming in as a number 1 pick in hockey. You could say anything. If you're like the man, the veterans, the other guys that are more established, who's this hot new kid on the block? We're in control. This is our league. Like they're gonna be teeing off on Manning. I think this year, I mean, he's got to get through the year and do well. What's a good season for you then? What's a good season for Manning?
For
8.
2 losses.
He losses.
I think a good. I'm not really. Again, a good season is kind of a nebulous. I'm more worried about his football IQ,
Yeah,
the
you're
team
right.
around him, his ability to read and react, to handle pressure. Because I think even if they go, even if Texas falls apart, even if if Texas has a couple of major injuries on their offensive line or on the defense, and they kind of fall apart, can he make, even if they go 8-4 and make the, we're sorry we care about you bowl, and we're sorry we don't care about you bowl, and he plays well. I'm more worried about his presence on the field, his
Yeah,
leadership ability,
that makes
his
sense.
ability to come back in big games, his ability to maintain poise, maintain posture, to not get rattled, to not get flustered, to read defenses, to react to what's being, when we get deep into the third quarter and everything's off book, and now he's just got to play. He's just got to, he gets the call in the headset, he goes out, he gives it to the guys. Can he execute? And that's what I'm looking for, regardless of
Yeah.
record.
You're
Regardless of
watching
record,
intangibles over stats. You're watching for his body language, how he's talking to his guys. Like you
how
said,
he reacts to,
you're a good knowledgeable fan of the sport. You're not just looking at the back of his sports card. You're actually watching how this guy is in action. Is he just scoring touchdowns when it's 50-0? Or is this guy dialed in and like focused in like a winning championship player every
does he have a
play?
winning mindset?
You gotta be that way to be a quarterback, man. Because there's so many good quarterbacks out there. He's gonna be drafted in the first round, but he's got to really keep, like you said, he's got to keep developing. It's not going to get handed to him.
I'm looking for a mindset. Does he have that mama mindset? Does he have that killer
Yeah.
instinct? Can he put the can when in that Kentucky game, in that Vanderbilt game, in the games against Mississippi State, in the couple of games against the nobodies that they're gonna play, can he go out there and perform to the high level? Obviously, if he has obviously one bad game is the end of the world. One bad game, one bad
No.
performance. But why did he have a bad performance? Was it because he was trying too hard? Was he throwing into triple coverage? Or was it just that the other team played, it's something that I say like 1,000 times a football season. All right, guys, slow down. The other team is allowed to make plays. You know,
Yeah.
did he,
First
did,
down's not the end of the world. They're going to score a couple points. Yeah.
did he make a mistake, or did the other team just make a play? Sometimes the other team just makes a play.
Of course. Yeah.
Sometimes there's just shit luck. You just have shit luck sometimes. And luck is a fickle mistress. Momentum is a fickle mistress.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the Michigan with Washington championship game and that pick
Oh,
Will
right.
Johnson had out of the half. They just crushed Washington. Just crushed Washington.
Yeah.
And it was an insane moment. You know, Johnson just made a tremendous play. It wasn't really a bad play by Penix. It was a great play by Will Johnson. That's what I'm looking for when, this time next year when we're doing our pre-draft shows and we're looking at the quarterbacks that are available. We're looking at Arch Manning. We're looking at I don't know who else would be available next year offhand. The kid down in Miami now. Brock Bowers. Not Brock Bowers.
I thought it was Bowers.
Well, they have Ward. You mean someone else? They're losing Cam Ward.
Yeah. The Georgia transfer.
Oh yeah, yeah. The guy Carson Beck. He already had his Lamborghini stolen,
Yeah.
and his girlfriend's been robbed or almost got arrested, and then he got his Lambo stolen. Welcome to Miami. He's definitely a college kid quarterback having fun in the middle of Miami.
The
So
Miami experience.
he's in the fast lane a little bit. Maybe pump the brakes a little. Yeah, a little bit more
He's got that
study,
authentic
a little bit
Miami.
more study, a little less clubbing. But hey, do you it's the time of his life. He's the man in the middle of a hurricane. Like that's a pretty cool campus to be the man, to be the quarterback as a Miami Hurricane. So I don't know, Brad. Do you guys? Is he like? Just real quick on him because soon he'll be in a draft, like Adam said. Like, what do you think about Beck? My fear is that he's like a product of having so many great weapons around him in Georgia. I don't know yet.
I'm hoping to get to see him. USF plays on the road in week 3 or week 4 in Miami and Coral Gables. So I'm kind of hoping that I get a chance to get credentials and I get to drive down there and see USF, play against Miami. So yeah, I mean, I think DJ Lagway might be another guy if he has a good season and the Gators get back to the way that they've been playing. I think he basically, in a way, saved his job, because had we sucked, I think it would have been it for Billy Napier. He would have been gone, and we would have been getting a new head coach this year. But I think DJ Lagway saved his job for the time being. I think the Gators could be pretty good this year. That's just me. I don't know. I'm not talking national championship, but I'm talking possibly a chance at the SEC championship when it all is said and done, because Georgia's getting knocked off the mountain. They're coming off the mountain, I think, faster than many people thought they were going to. Alabama's still there too. They're not going away. Texas is there now. And there's always, and Adam could say this too, there's always a team in your conference that you're like, yeah, everybody writes them. And then all of a sudden,
I've done that too.
do it, they're there. They're there. They're winning games. They win big games. I mean, look at Vanderbilt last year. They beat Alabama. They nearly beat Georgia. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Man.
Like, you count out of anything because of anyone. Well, any one of us know anyone can win on any given Saturday. You just got to put the game plan together, and if plays go your way, then win.
Make the plan.
And then it's a snowball. Like you said, Vanderbilt out of nowhere shined and showed out on the world stage against mighty Bama, and then like that, dude. After that wasn't like a random coincidence. They arrived right there by like the end of the first quarter. I remember that, and that was helping me really get into college football more and more. Like you said, Brad. It really takes one upset, and then that could turn around the program for the next 3 months or 10 years. I mean, Vanderbilt, now there's kids that are like looking into maybe applying at Vanderbilt without even getting recruited. You never know. Like now it takes a couple upsets, and now Vanderbilt, like you said. So like they're really, there's no automatic easies. I guess just thinking of that Manning schedule, and he's going to have so much scrutiny and so much pressure on him every snap. There's going to be no easy games for him.
And that's why I'm not
anymore.
One of those
scrutinized under a microscope. He's going to be under a microscope. Oh, he missed that snap. Oh, he's a nephew. It's not the third Manning. He's just a nephew. You're going to hear that. You'll hear a lot of critics. And then you'll hear a lot of people, oh my God, he's incredible. He's the next Manning. Well, he's only the nephew, dude. Like you just corrected me before. So he's going to be getting a lot of critics all year, and he's going to be getting a lot of defenders trying to tackle him extra hard. We'll see. It's going to be a great test every game for him.
That's why I look beyond the stats.
Yeah, how he handles it.
And how and Carson Beck and DJ Ulo Wongo Wungu whatever his name is. Yeah, guy. And there's gonna be a couple others that come out. There's Moss, that the kid, I forget where he transferred to, but he was at USC last year. Miller Moss, I think was his name. Yeah, I think he's in like Utah or something like that. So there's gonna be 3 or 4 guys that are gonna be vying for that number 1 spot. And when it comes to evaluating future NFL quarterbacks, that's why I call the draft a crapshoot. Because I think about Danny Cannell, about 20-25 years ago. He was drafted like 4th overall by the Giants. Mm-hmm. And the Giants built a whole new film room. They built a whole new practice facility. They invested all this money in Danny Cannell. And Danny Cannell was the guy of the future. And he just didn't care. He got to New York, and he was Mr. New York, and it was just so cool, and he was more worried.
It was so random to see, man. Like I said, like, so sorry, but yeah, I thought it was so cool. That's why I'd like to see Archie get to New York. I think it'd be cool. But yeah, go for it, man.
So when Danny Kanell got to New York, this was early 2000, late 90s, early 2000s, and they rolled out the welcome wagon for him, and they built this new facility, and they invested all this money in making him their future, and he just didn't care. He didn't want to show up to the facility. He didn't want to study film. He wanted a party. He wanted to spend his money, and he just didn't. Just playing football was just a job for him, and it wasn't a passion. He
Yeah,
they
man.
ended up he they ended up cutting him. He ended up getting cut, and and this was like an interview like he was giving like 10 years later, like in 2014, 2015, that I saw, and he was still, he was talking about that, and he was talking about how, and that's something that always sticks with me is like, guys like Danny Kanell and Jameis Winston and Vince Young, and so many of these other number one busts, Ryan
Goes
Leaf.
on. Yeah.
The problem, the difference between Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning was Peyton Manning was committed, and Ryan Leaf was just playing football was just a job.
Yeah.
And when you and that's the thing about these rookie quarterbacks or young quarterbacks coming out of college, is that can they transition to the NFL? Can they put their work pants on and realize that it is a job, that it is a 24/7, 365 job that you have
Yep.
to work at every single day. And that's, guys, when we look at the young quarterbacks that are in the league now, guys like Kenny Pickett and Caleb Williams and
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, can Daniels continue to grow?
Oh yeah,
Will
that
he
yeah.
put the work in? Because I think the difference between, you can have all the talent in the world, you can be the next paid Patrick Mahomes, talent-wise, physically. Look at Jameis Winston.
I have a great comp.
He's got all the intangibles. He's got all the measurables.
How
He's
about
6'4", 250, can run
Oh
can
yeah,
run a
he's a
4.4.
perfect Madden, John Madden, like video game, like cartoon. Like if you designed a quarterback in a lab, he's the prototype. How about Mr. Call of Duty, who'd rather play video games than lift weights and learn his own playbook as the leader, as a quarterback, and making like 100 million. Kyler Murray.
Idiot.
Kyler Murray, you turn on Madden if you're an 18-year-old kid in college playing Madden in your dorm room. Oh my God, Kyler Murray is incredible. I threw 80 touchdowns with him. He's fast. He's got a cannon of an arm. In real life NFL, he's not good. So yeah, Adam, like if you don't have the heart and the drive to really learn, there's too many good quarterbacks. You're just not going to keep a job.
And you look at Joe Burrow, Josh Allen.
Yeah, they're like
Lamar Jackson,
perfectionists.
Those guys who take it seriously Monday through Friday. Those guys that are dedicated are gonna eat up and spit out guys that are just less dedicated.
Yeah.
The NFL is what have you done for me next league. It's not being on the cutting edge. It's not being around the corner. It's about being ahead of the curve.
We all know it's the only thing keeping a draft picks on a team, at least for like that first year, is the only thing is they're tied into that money with that contract.
Yeah.
If he's pissing people off or not running or partying too late or doing some stupid stuff on the side, they're already planning to move off of him, and they already have eyes on 3 other guys that they're going to bring in. They have no time to waste on drama. The good teams don't waste time, and they don't wait for busts to grow up. And the good teams the good teams recognize that, and they stick away from the really risky players. They draft the really hard workers. Most of, I mean, and again, you always say it, Adam. It's like the safe. If you're a bad team, why not start just like a strong, durable, like a mountain of a man leader? Get a 6'6" offensive tackle who will protect your quarterback for a decade, allow you to run it and protect the ball. Like it opens up. That's why it's like I think the Giants just go. I think you nailed it early on, Adam. Maybe like at the end of this draft, maybe the Giants just go to offensive tackle. Because if you add Hunter, you have Neighbors and Hunter, like two little cheetahs. It's like Dolphins. You have no big boys that are winning plays on the inside. It's all just like speed guys.
Yeah.
And that's if Hunter.
Yeah, no, you sold me on that. Now I'm thinking, Adam, like, yeah, the Giants, they really, to be smart, they really should just take a darn lineman. They haven't had a good line in like a decade.
and And you know, I think about the fact that the NFL is you can't be on the cutting edge. You have to be around the corner. It's what have you done for me next league? You know, look at that 46 defense from the Bears. You know, it was
Famous,
so
yeah.
good, and
Yeah.
everybody started copying it. And for like 2 to 5 years, from the mid '80s to the early '90s, everybody was running the 46. And then the West Coast offense came along and ate up the 46, and everybody went away from the 46 because on the other side, you know, in the late 2000s, everybody was running that wildcat thing, you know, that the Dolphins innovated, putting the running back at the quarterback position, and that works once for a while. But when you get to the point where you know that that's just going to be a running play, you know, it's just another running play. You can scheme up, and you know, linebackers are smart guys, defensive linemen are smart guys. Intelligence, you know, we have really smart defenders now. You know, defenders aren't just dumb guys, big
Think about
dumb
all
guys.
these. Think about, and Adam, you're making awesome points as always. And like we talked about it a lot, like a couple nights ago, about just how much you have information you have to take in, especially as a quarterback. So yeah, that's why it's so much more important to just learn and be around the guy and just see how he acts under pressure and see how he treats his teammates. He's the leader of the whole team as a quarterback. So yeah, it's so important. Yeah, that's I think you're right. That's probably the biggest thing is just to watch how Manning handles himself under such a spotlight all year.
Yeah, because
how he handles it here and here and not here.
Because he could go.
Mental.
He could go
mental.
220 for 235 for
6,000
yards.
We know he can throw, yeah.
And 80 touchdowns and lead his team to a championship. But if he's not learning, you know, he's just another Johnny Manziel. Because Johnny Manziel never learned how to play football.
Oh,
Johnny
yeah, perfect
Manziel
example.
was super talented, super physically gifted. He can make every mistake in the book, and yet he kept A&M in every game. He made every mistake in the book, threw into triple coverage, rolled out of the pocket too soon, ran too early, wasn't keeping his eyes downfield, made every mistake in the book, and
This
yet
story's
A&M
crazy.
was right there in the fourth quarter.
Insane. Like the way that guy, we've all seen players like a Kobe or whatever sport. They'll be like, give me the ball. They'll just like make something happen that's magical. But that guy literally would just consistently do like whatever he felt like doing.
Yeah. He'd make one play he looks like a god. The next play he looks like he's got his shoes tied together.
It's like, what is this guy doing? Yeah. So up and down.
And I think that's what I'm looking. That's what I want to identify in Arch's game this season is his decision making, and not just in big moments, but in the moments that really at the end of the game. At the end of the game, you know, a football, you know, a sports game is a series of decisions from whistle to whistle. You know, what decisions does he make in the huddle? Does he have the confidence to make a call that may not be exactly what the coach called? Does he make a check at the line? Or is he just going, you know, does he have the confidence in himself to make the read at the line, make a check, and live with his decision? Even if it doesn't work. You know, can he live with his decisions?
Oh yeah, ego too, and the ability. You have to be coachable. Coachable is like learning or admitting mistakes in real life. If you're not coachable and willing to accept constructive criticism, you're never going to improve as a human. We all know that. So like, let's look at perfect example. All the talent in the world, Carson Wentz. That guy literally, the more and more I learn about him, he's like a bad memory, but inevitably I'm going to like randomly, I've come across like an article or read a paragraph or I've watched like an old video of like how good he could have been and like what a demise and what a fall from grace. He just absolutely bottomed out suddenly. I mean, he apparently, he wouldn't even follow rules. Like we want you to audible in this in like a fourth quarter tie game. He'd be like, no, we're running this. Like he would refuse to even listen to other veterans inside his own huddle, not just the coaching staff. So Wentz, like, if you're just doing your own thing, get out of town. Like, we don't need you around. Like, you don't. You know, it's like you got to know when to you got to be able to follow the system and be like just a good game manager.
At the end of the day, yeah. At
But
the end of the
yeah, I
day,
mean,
you have
he's
to.
got the spark. Like I also, as good as Eli was, I know it's just nephew, not uncle, but not brother, but dude, he wasn't throwing for 350. He wasn't throwing for 5 touchdowns a Sunday. He was like good,
No.
good. He was basically B plus, and then
Just steady.
a couple postseason runs, he was A plus for 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and then 12 or 13 pretty good years later, he said, "I'm done, and I have 2 Super Bowl rings, so I'm getting in." And they're
Yeah,
like,
he's got two
it's
more
like
Super
he
Bowl
was
rings than the
never
rest
like,
of us.
oh my god, this week's MVP of the league. I didn't remember Eli lighting up all the highlights during the regular season. He just got them wins, and then he made magic happen in the postseason. So I mean, you got to tip the hat to him, I guess.
I'll tip my hat to him. No,
Even if it's
Eli,
Michigan, it's a Michigan hat too. That's very
it
classy. You're
is.
tipping that hat. Amazing blue.
But and to like,
I gotta respect Eli, even though he's a Giant. Like he guy worked hard, man, and he had the intangibles because he wasn't big.
Even though he's a Giant.
He wasn't big and fast and super athletic. So Manning really made the most of his God-given talent. So I got to show him respect. I mean, he made a lot out of what he had, and he worked his butt off when no one is around. He wasn't going to the club. You just gotta trust a guy like that is just reading about playbooks, 1 a.m. on a Sunday night. Like the guy just studies football. So his intangibles are just off the charts.
That's the thing that, as an being an
They're like
outsider,
savants of the sport. They're like geniuses of the sport.
That's what I've been talking about all evening, is the idea of just being a good student of the game, being a good steward of the game. Eli wasn't flashy. He wasn't going to win you 15 games on his own. But the times that he had an opportunity to go out and just make a play and win you a game, he won more than he lost. He wasn't his brother, but he's got 2 rings.
That's it. That's the bottom line. Even if it's an obnoxious Eagles fan, there's plenty. I used to be. There's plenty of obnoxious Cowboys fan. All the Giants fan has to do is be like, dude, he has 2 rings. The end of the discussion, really.
He's got 2 more than you.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got 2 more than everybody in this room.
Yeah.
Just and Eli, they're just good dudes. I'm not trying to sound corny, but they are.
No, they're really
head cases in every area, in every industry of the world, but there's some hotheads in sports. They're just good dudes. So yeah, I wouldn't. If I'm the Giants, man, I'm just doing whatever it takes. Just get him on that team.
Yeah, I think
it'll be fun. The fans will be rejuvenated. Ticket sales, the league. I mean, you get sense it's kind of building up.
And when New York's good, it's good for sports when New York is good.
A lot can change in a year, so we'll see. He's got to stay healthy. Like we don't have to keep going over, but we'll see. I think it'd be cool for the league, but we'll see.
I think a lot. It's good when the New York teams are good. Rangers, Yankees, Mets.
It just adds a buzz.
Giants,
Really, all the energy and all the media coverage. It just adds a little bit more juice to the respect of sport. Really, it's like brings more good attention to whatever sport it is.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be fun, and then everyone gets mad and wants to beat the Yankees or screw the Rangers. I mean, it's got that. Yeah, it heightens the intensity a little bit for whatever it is. I think it's great.
No one hates
friendly, man. It's all friendly sports, but people get tough about it. It's cool. Rivalries.
No one hates a New York team quite like a New York fan.
Wrong.
Lou, you can speak on that, man. I'm the Mets guy, but you're through and through. I cheat. I trade. I cross the border to the Eagles and Mets a little bit. So
you're forgetting. So you say New York team is worse? Nope, it's worse with Boston because Boston hates New York teams with a passion. I mean,
they really do.
The Patriots against the Jets, or as I call them, the Boston, the Red Sox and the Yankees. I mean, Red Sox. Sorry. Bruins and Rangers, yeah, that as well too. I mean, New York and Boston, really have a passion for hating each other's teams.
It all stems and grows out of the main one is just all up the Red Sox Yankees is so much tradition. That's the tradition and then on the Northeast. So it's like those fan bases in every other sport, they automatically really hate each other. Celtics, Knicks.
And
It all stems from Red Sox Yankees.
And
No, and
Giants Eagles. I mean, they can't stand each other either. I mean, they keep trading each other's
Yeah.
players too. And so it's
yeah,
like
no,
it's bitter now.
It's just almost like, because I've been to a couple of I haven't been to a lot of games, but when I go, it's usually Giants games because I'm near that stadium. I'm not near the Eagles stadium. I'm less than an hour from where the Giants play. So I'll go maybe once every 3 years if I'm lucky. I'm not like Mr. Big Time, but whenever I go, yeah, it's like, it's just, that place used to be rocking 15 years ago when I was like 25. I might have gone once in my late 20s, rocking. Yeah. And then I went maybe 3 years ago and it's literally half full. And the guys that have been there for 40 years with like their grandkids with like season tickets, they don't even want to be there or they're leaving at halftime. So they need like a wake up. They need a spark. They need a Manning.
well, no, it's an old joke I heard. No one hates the Yankees quite like a Yankees fan.
And then as Mets fans, we're used to torture.
Before.
We just assume we'll choke as Mets fans. We're just like used to the suffering. Yankees have great expectations, but they get it heated with a lot of different fans. So they got a lot of different kind of fires they're putting out. A lot of attention on them at all times. Mets are trying to like get into the spotlight more, but they don't want to get the criticism that the big bad Yankees get. So it's a fine line.
Can I call out a particular wrestler right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten to WWE.
John Cena is the biggest bitch I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, yeah. It's glorious, though. He's
right into the audience telling him to F off or shut the fuck up, or whatever they.
Wow.
And he's gotten to the point where I watched the Raw highlights this morning, and they're telling, and he's like, "See, you're proving to me exactly what I've been saying. How you guys have turned on me all through
the blame game."
He comes in and he goes, and I'm gonna take belts, your belt, coveted prize, and walk away with the WWE with the championship. He goes, I'm gonna walk out of here, and then Cody comes out. Cody's got some choice words for him. Cody tries to challenge him, and John's like, "Yeah, nah, boy, I've been here, done that before. That ain't gonna happen. Walk out of here."
That was a nice guy.
Beats at WrestleMania. I just he's playing heel so well. Like this is different John Cena that I don't think we ever would have thought we would have seen. In all reality, and I'm joking around when I'm calling him a bitch. I mean, John's doing his job. That's what he would do. He's a professional.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, I won't hate John Cena as a wrestling fan ever. I will never hate John Cena as a fan. Very few wrestlers I hate up there on my, but that's a different story. But I will never hate.
Well, with you opening the segment with John Cena as a bitch, I think that just goes to show you how good he's playing the character. The fact of the matter is that
it's working.
He's earned the heat. This isn't cheap heat where you come out and you go, oh, we're in city, well, let's say Chicago. We're in Chicago, and you go, oh, hey, Chicago, your hot dogs suck, and your Blackhawks suck, and your Bulls suck, and boo,
Screw Caleb Williams, all the usual taunting them, poking them, prodding them,
The cheap heat, it's a wrestling term. You coming out and you mock the city you're in.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, I've been noticing that. I'm watching a lot, by the way, guys. I'm loving it. But yeah.
And so John just coming out last week was this week was good, but last week was even better. He comes out, and he, and in a way, I can understand his frustration. When he was John Cena, when he was just John Cena, that in his initial run, he was nobody, and he was about to be dropped. And then he got he came out, he started rapping, and he came John Cena, the Doctor of Thugonomics, and that was over until it wasn't. So he reinvented himself, and then and he was winning and he won and I won and I, and whatever, he was like, he said it like 5 or 6 times, and then they booed, and and then in the early 2010s when he was the company man, they hated him.
Yep.
And when he lost, there was one, it was like 2009, him and Randy had a match and he got hurt. And Vince came out. I was watching a documentary about it the other day on TikTok. And Vince came out and Cena had to drop the belt because he couldn't wrestle right now. He was hurt. He was gonna be out for an extended period. So the title was vacated and they had to do like a number one contenders match, and then they had a gauntlet tournament thing, whatever. And when Vince said Cena was hurt and he couldn't wrestle, the crowd cheered, right?
Yeah.
And I think that all builds to the fact that Cena's an old man now. He's only got a few good matches left in him, and I love what Cody said about how he wants to face the real John Cena, not whatever this is. And the fact that Cody, Cena could have buried Cody right there. He could have just ate Cody for lunch because Cena's so good on the mic. He's so
Yeah.
good on the mic. He could have just had Cody for lunch, and he held his mouth, and he waited. And I think next week, going into next week, if he's on Raw again,
Yeah.
I think they go back and forth. I think him and Cody have exchanged words, and they actually cut a promo against each other. I really love this build for Mania. Not just Cena, and we can talk Cena Cody all night, but the rest of the card is shaping up to be excellent too.
Well, speaking of the mic, did you hear CM Punk after
Oh,
the
yeah.
Nation Chamber on Cena and The Rock? You
Yeah,
see him come and say what he said? And
and then
what's funny about the whole situation is we never, as wrestling fans, never really thought we'd be in a world where Randy Orton and CM Punk are faces and John Cena's.
Well,
Think of a second. Think of that, because Punk and Randy play heels so well, and
Yeah.
right now, and like you said, and I'm not gonna, I won't. Unfortunately, I have something going on Saturday, and then it's Easter Sunday. But I'm gonna be able to watch very little of WrestleMania this year, and I'm upset that they had scheduled on Easter weekend, bastards. But anyway, they're in Vegas.
what? It's ridiculous.
But the Orton Kevin Owens match, oh my God, is that going to be a match?
that's gonna be a war.
Or you have Punk, Rollins, and Reigns. Get out of town. That is going to be a match too, as well, with those three, incombustible elements in the ring with each other that hate each other. They all have hatred for each other in a way. So yeah.
And you got to respect the business, because I think at the end of the day, that's the blurred lines between of wrestling, is how much is it the characters hate each other versus the guys, the actual guys hate each other. I think that's what makes that CM Punk so good, makes Cena so good, Orton so good, is the fact that they can blur that line between reality and fiction. And I'm looking forward to Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. That's gonna be a war.
How about
Sure
Braun
is.
Strowman for the Intercontinental Championship? Two unmovable objects in the ring with each other. Holy cow, that's
Yeah.
Braun Strowman and Penta at Mania is gonna be good.
Yep.
I'm really liking this Penta
Good
Penta
question.
character.
You guys can help me. Who's the new? I've mentioned before. Big Matt onto the Giant. Who's the most imposing? Who's the biggest physical freak in the game right now, in the sport right now? Is there like a 7'1" who like makes?
Probably.
Would you say
Who's the
Braun
biggest
Breaker?
guy that gets airtime, that gets big match, decent sized matches? Is there like
The
a
thing-
huge? Who is it?
Here is he can move. The guy can move like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
He's across the ring. I mean, the man can run laps around most wrestlers.
I love it, man.
I mean,
the big athletes are the best, man.
He's a Steiner. He's a Steiner. His uncles are Scott and Rick.
Mm.
I think they're
Yeah, you're right.
how they are. But
Would you say Braun
they're-
Strowman?
I would say Strowman or Breaker would probably be your two
What-
big guys.
Yeah.
Roman.
I think the biggest, the most over big guy right now has to be Gunther, though.
Cool.
I hope Jay beats him. That'll be another good match. I hope Jay beats him. I hope Jay Uso.
I think
Yeah, belt
Uso.
off.
I think Uso finally. I think he finally lives up to his nickname, main event. I think he beats. I think he beats Strowman at the end of for the title, or Gunther. I'm sorry. I think he beats Gunther at night 1.
Yep.
That's gonna be they're saying that in Vegas.
Yeet.
I mean, those guys. I mean, there's guys that are 5'6" that'll bust 7-footers butts. We know that. But like, I'm just saying, like, to see those guys that are. I think it's fun when like a 7-footer can move. It's like seeing a really athletic, like 6'6" offensive guard or offensive tackle, or a power forward in the NBA that can run like a guard. I think when you can kind of have that speed size combo, like like wrestling, I always thought it was fun. Like I always related to like I always thought watching Andre the Giant and watching the smaller guys be able to somehow take him out. It's always an interesting dynamic when you have one like just giant against a really badass wrestler.
Well, you have to understand. The other thing you have to understand is how wrestling works. Is the fact that it's scripted, right? So
Sure.
at the end of the day, you have to know who's over, who's hot, who's not, and you have to play. Everyone's playing a character, and so like Braun Strowman is, he's a big hulking. I wouldn't say moron. He's kind of a meathead. He doesn't really talk much, but he's super freaky athletic. He's super over, so he gets to win more than he loses. And so I think that's really what determines whether you're a great wrestler or not. Isn't your ability in the ring, your ability on the mic. It's your connection with the fan base.
Oh, totally.
If you're an over,
relatable.
If you're over,
yeah.
If you're, look at guys like The Miz. He's never really been over, I would say, with the fan base. And then you have guys like Dolph Ziggler, who everybody apparently loves, even though he was one of the worst wrestlers of all time. Him and Zack Ryder, two guys that I never understood the hype for. They were both morons, couldn't wrestle, couldn't talk.
Yeah.
I never got it. I never got their characters. And everybody seemed to love them. But now, especially now that they're gone and out of the company, everybody's like, oh, you remember Dolph Ziggler? He was so good. I was like, yeah, but you never liked him when he was here.
Sure.
And the
He was never over when he was here.
Fascinating.
thing about he's in TNA, who the WWE just partnered with.
Oh,
right.
That's
He's
it.
Nick Nimith. I think his real name is Nick Nimith. That's who he is now.
Okay.
And they're going after Matt Hardy. And his other, they're going after Matt Hardy. So, but again, it's funny how you bring that up. Now, Zack Ryder, I think, is in AEW. If I'm not mistaken, I could be.
I thought he was retired, but I'm not sure.
Well, there's been rumors, but about him coming back to the WWE.
There's rumors about. I think if you kicked around enough message boards, there'd be rumors about Andre coming back. So, even though he's been dead for 40 years.
Uh-huh.
So
no, you have Tiffany. I don't know if you've seen the mics with her and Charlotte. That's Tiffany. Tiffany means business. She ain't just going to be some pushover against Charlotte Flair. And then, of course, you have Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and then throw Rhea Ripley into that equation. Ooh boy.
I think Io's got to win. I think Io is super over right now. I think Io's got to retain at Mania. I think Belair and if I was booking it, I would book it when I would have Rhea and Belair go after each other hard and kind of ignore Io like they've been doing for the last several weeks. I don't know if you've watched a lot of Raw, but every time Io goes to talk and the other two are in the ring, they both shove her out of the way. And
Yes,
and I think you keep the belt on Io this week. Next Monday, I think that Io beats Rhea clean. I think Belair. I think you ban Belair from ringside. You keep and Io beats Rhea clean, setting up for Mania, and then at the week after next, Rhea and Belair and Io have another segment together, and you finally make that an official triple threat. Or you could do what you could do is um you could have Belair come out and interfere and get and disqualify and just have it be a no decision, have it be a disqualification, and make that a triple threat at Mania.
Do you think, Bud, that you're going to see Cargill and Naomi in a match at WrestleMania? Because those two have some history since the Elimination Chamber.
They don't
Because
have anything going right now, though.
oh no, they did. Naomi attacked Cargill on Raw this past.
Oh,
She
did
beat
they?
the
Okay, I didn't see that. I don't know where you could work it in, though. You got so much else going, so many other big storylines going right now. That
I
do
mean,
you book that? Do you book that as the first match of? Do you open the night with that?
I was
Night
going
one?
to say, too, you're going to have some matches that are either in the midst of their storyline starting, or just like just in the beginning. That might be a match you might see night one, match one, or match two, because as you get further and further into the night, as we know, the matches get big, the storyline. So, because you have the tag team titles, the Street Profits tag team champions. You're gonna have to throw them in the thick of it. I don't know who the Intercontinental Champion is. Braun Breaker. He's got a match with Braun Strowman, and then you have the United States Champions LA Knight. Who is LA Knight gonna face? Is it another?
Does LA Knight defend the title?
He's got the title. Yeah, he won the title back.
Do you have him defend the title?
Maybe not.
Or do you
Maybe you
book him for Mania? Because for me, I want to be able, because you have at least 3 big matches that you have I would say 4 big matches booked already. You have Io Sky, Cena, Bray, Gunther, and the Rollins, CM Punk, Roman. And I think I want to have enough breathing room where everybody gets to work. And if you overbook the card either night, you don't have enough room to let you need room to let these matches build and breathe. If you overbook the card and you just have too much going, you don't want to have a IC title or a US title be a squash match, a 5-minute.
Yeah.
Because or a 5 or 10-minute match where you just need to get it over with because we got other things to get to. So I wonder if you just don't have LA Knight defend the title on Raw, on Mania, or at Mania this year. You could say that for SummerSlam or something else down the road.
Well, then you also have the fact that I can. Hopefully, this doesn't happen, but I can guarantee you there'll be some outside interference with Cena and Rhodes. I could see the Rock,
but that's you're gonna have to work that, but you're working that as part of the program.
Yeah.
So that's that's already baked into the runtime of their. You think I would figure, Uso and Gunther probably 45 minutes.
Probably.
A 45-minute match. Maybe you have some outside interference with Jimmy, but then it's a title match. So can you have any outside interference? Especially if it's not an official no quote disqualifications match. Then you have the women's triple threat that they've been building for the last month and a half. So that's going to need time. That's probably going to need 45 minutes to really be a good match, to put on a good show. And Cena and because Cena and Cody's going to be match is going to main event night 2. And that's probably going to need 45 minutes to an hour and a half to really put on the show that you want to. Then you have the triple threat between Roman. You have the Roman triple threat, or the Punk triple threat, or the Reigns the Rollins triple threat. However you're going to bill that, And so for me, I'm just wondering if there's enough room on the card for an IC title match, or a
United States Championship.
or a US title match, because you have so many other huge storylines that are coming to a head that have to be finished at Mania for them to work.
And then you also have Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. That match will go at least a half hour or longer, at least. That's not going to be a. So you don't. I mean, even in a 3-hour show, you don't really leave a lot of time for those little matches like that. I know. I'm assuming that both nights will be 3 hours. I'm assuming.
So.
Each.
It could be 4, starting at 8, midnight.
I say 3.
Pay-per-view till midnight on Easter Sunday. I don't know if you really are, but I'm not the WWE. But I was going to say that I think the WWE really is starting to show the future, because if you watch NXT with Obi Femming and Trick Williams and those cats down there, they've got a very good future coming up through NXT. And if they use the TNA guys, I mean, yeah, you got Joe Hendry, you got the Hardy Boys, you got a bunch of talent down there too that the WWE can bring back up. So since Vince has stepped away and I finally got finished watching that, I've watched the Vince one on Netflix. I watched the Hope Solo one on Netflix. I've watched the Aaron Rodgers one on Netflix. But it's interesting, since Vince has stepped away, how much better it's been since Triple H has taken over and been given everything to do. Creative, let him run with it. And now that he has, I was never really a fan of Shawn Michaels, but he's a great guy, wrestler in his time. But he runs NXT now, and he's doing a hell of a job for Triple H. So there you go. So I mean, WrestleMania is great as it always usually is.
You guys just painted the picture for me, like just thinking about it from a outsider, like an outside perspective, just from the marketing, like the health and the optimism right now with how much talent there is, the ideas of how many good matchups there could be. There should really be no like lull in that. All these broadcasts coming up, they should have what is a 2-hour clip each show? 3 hours, 2 hours?
Rough 2 hours.
It should be like rocking. It should be like can't miss TV, because if you have all this talent and you're having trouble figuring out, how are they going to have this guy fight? Then you got this guy. There's so many good options. It's a great problem to have. So they should have no scrubs and no. Oh, come on! I'm yawning. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. What is this matchup? It should be all home run matchups throughout the night.
They've really done a great job
of setting up all star crazy matchups. It should be one should be better than better than the next. Like, damn. And then obviously the last 1 or 2 matchups should just be like incredible. Because now you have Cena, you guys have been talking about it. Now I'm like, dude, you have old talent back, you have a new creative direction, you have a lot of new fans, you have new leadership. They have a ton of good energy right now. They should have the best ratings come up for the next several months. I think like bigger and bigger the next several months. It seems like it's just going up.
Yeah, it does.
Dude, it feels like 98 all over again.
That's great. I got back into the right time. I always loved it, and I would like watch highlights and then just like stop for a couple months, and then you guys are talking about it. Now I'm like, you know what? I'm diving back into it. I'm going back to the old Andre the Giant Macho Man days. I'm young again.
Well, it's something that when we first started the show that I would rant about like every other week whenever WWE would come up. They didn't have enough mid-card talent. They didn't have enough to fill out a roster. And I mean, look at the guys that they had. Look at the guy who LA Knight and Braun Breaker both are title holders. They're great.
Yeah.
They're not being overused. They're not being overbooked. They're not being rushed to the main event. Like back in Vince's day, back, 10, 15 years ago now. That's
Yep.
how old I am. Braun Breaker and LA Knight would have both already had the title put on them. And it would have been, and they would have had terrible title runs. Because Vince didn't know how to book a title run anymore.
Wow.
And I think it's great. I think it's great that those guys, we get to come up with them now. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a couple weeks ago about the NFL and the fact that guys in the NFL does a great job of marketing college. And I think NXT is a prime example of using your minor leagues to feed your
Pipeline,
pro,
yeah.
to feed the pro league. Braun Breaker came up, Braun Strowman came up, Penta came up, and not being afraid to use the characters. So that was also a big Vince problem, is that he would call up a guy from OVW or Florida FCW, and he would change the character. You'd fall in love with this character in one of the minor promotions, OVW, FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, or NXT, or they'd come in from another brand, come in from Ring of Honor, TNA, AEW, New Japan, and Vince would change the character. You've been watching the guy for what's his name, AJ Styles or Sensei Nakamura. They'd come up, they'd finally be on the main Raw roster, the main SmackDown roster, and they'd be given a totally new gimmick because Vince just didn't understand that the gimmick that was over was the character that they've been playing for the last 10 years. And so to Brad's point about Triple H and Shawn Michaels, that's the thing about the Penta character. I wasn't sold on the Penta character. I'd never heard of him. I didn't know who he was. And so getting to know him over the last couple of weeks, I'm really in love with this. I think he's great. I love his face paint. He looks like an Urukai. It's great.
Yeah, that creative direction is huge, guys. Think about it, like even just make it so simple. Even thinking like music for non-wrestling fans. Like if a bunch of talented people have a new creative director, right? Or a new producer if you're into whatever, soul or R&B or rock, or if you have a new band manager, if you're a rock band hitting the bar scene or the club scene, like if you get a new direction and a new vision and new energy and new hope, wow, let's try this out. Like it totally re-energizes. Like those wrestlers are now a lot happier. It's obviously it's really healthy for the sport. Just maybe sometimes just kind of reset and start with just bring new blood in. Vince, it's like, dude, hit the road. Now it's totally re-energized now.
Well, to your point about music, it was like a band that'd been around for 30 years.
It made it fun again for the wrestlers, it seems like.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a record label having a band that had put out hits 30 years ago and just didn't know how to get they'd sign new bands to the label and they'd want the new bands to play the old band's music.
Got to get with the times. Yeah.
And the old bands and some of those old bands were still hanging around doing their thing.
Sure.
And people would still like the old music, but it was like, yeah, but I've seen them play the hits for the last 30 years. And so then, but Vince didn't understand how to transition into something new. That's the funny, when Vince was coming up, because he inherited the WWF, which I think it was the WWF, like World Wrestling Federation. I can't remember what it was.
My gosh, what did it way back? That's when I actually knew what was up. It was WWF.
It was something else. It was like Worldwide Wrestling Federation. There was
WWF, and that was when Hulk and the Macho Man. That core was were the guys, the big guys. Yeah. Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior.
Right. It used to be all wrestling was territory wrestling. So you'd have Mid-South Wrestling. You'd have you'd have the different territories, and then when Vince Senior, I can't remember if he passed on or he retired offhand, but whenever he got out of it and Vince Jr., Mr. McMahon, took over, he consolidated.
It was called Worldwide Wrestling Federation. That's what book when his dad, when Vince Senior ran it.
Was it just the
And
WWF?
Yeah.
it was the WWF
That's what I
before
thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. WWE. Yeah, I forgot a W. Yep.
Vince took
And-
W's away and then created WWF.
Oh,
And
so
then
Adam, yeah, great points. You're saying they had broken off into factions. Obviously, that's the equivalent of part of the
Right.
NHL going, we're gonna play in Sweden. Like if they were losing out of their talent pool when they all divvied up and
Well,
split
there
up
was
into different directions.
it was like when back in the WHL days, and
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
and what Vince did, Vince brought all the territories together and converged and married everybody and started building. You know, he took the talent pool. You know, you'd have
Much
a
better
guy. You
talent
might
pool.
have one guy
Yeah.
who was the main guy in Memphis or in Atlanta, and so instead of so like if you so then he brought everybody together under one banner, and he made sure everybody got paid. He made sure things were safe, safe for 1979.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, that's huge. I didn't
And
realize
then
that. Yeah.
and so then in the 80s, it was all about goofy characters, guys like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, and he created
Honky Tonk
Yeah.
Man.
WrestleMania, and then
Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, Ultimate Warrior, guys like
Yeah.
that.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Honky
Characters,
Tonk.
goofy characters. It was all about the Flair, Ric Flair. And
Right.
then in the early 90s, when that kind of started losing steam, he went to guys like Lex Luger, and obviously Hogan was still there, and then in the mid 90s it was in the mid 90s the WCW came along and changed everything for everybody, and then you had the in then you had the guys like Razor Ramon and Scott Hall, and then they left WWE to go and form the NWO over in WCW, and that
Yeah,
blew
that.
up. And then Vince reinvented the brand. He started the Monday Night Wars, and Raw was head to head against Nitro and got their ass kicked for 84 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost 2 years. They got their ass handed to them. Just got beat in the ratings. They were like by like 3-1, and Vince stayed the course, and he made Mick Foley the champion. And was it Tony Schiavone? Yeah, God love Tony Schiavone. He killed
Wow.
WCW. He put a bullet in WCW's head one Monday night.
It was Shivani was the announcer for WWE or
Yeah.
WCW. It was oh Jesus, I have the guy's name in my freaking head. Eric Bischoff is the.
Oh, I remember Bischoff. Yeah.
No,
Bischoff.
I was talking about Tony Schiavone, because he was the one. He was the one that announced on WCW that WWE was gonna, or WWF at the time was gonna make Mick Foley their champion, and 6 million viewers switched channel, and it killed WCW that night. And 3 years later, Vince bought the WCW for pennies on the dollar. And then Vince had no reason to reinvent himself. And I think that's what really, because in the 80s he had to reinvent himself to compete with the territories, to build the brand. In the 90s he had to compete with the WCW. He had to reinvent himself every 3 or 4 years to keep fans interested. And then when he won the Monday Night Wars, and that's what really started SmackDown, was the fact that he won the Monday Night Wars. Raw had no competition. So Vince was like, well, I'll just create my own competition.
Yeah.
And that's great in a way, because it's more, it really when he did the brand split, when he put most of the WCW guys, on the ones that stuck around at least, over on SmackDown, and he tried to run two brands, tried to run two shows at the same time, it really killed both Raw and SmackDown. And then nobody could get, Ring of Honor never took off. New Japan was kind of out there. TNA came and went. It never really caught on mainstream. Because I remember one night in 2009 or 10, me and my brother were watching TNA, and we had to explain to Mom that TNA wasn't tits and ass. It was because that's what she was like. What in the
Right.
f- are you guys watching? And I was like, oh no, it's wrestling. It's total
But
nonstop action, Mom.
Right.
there was a rumor. There was a rumor. I was
Right.
actually going to ask that same question about a half hour ago, but it was a false rumor.
Get your money out of the gutter, people.
It wasn't going to be me. I swear I wasn't going to almost ask that like 45 minutes ago. So TNA, okay, continue.
Yeah, total nonstop action. That's what that stands for.
Right.
And so TNA never really caught on with the mainstream. It didn't do WWE numbers. It didn't do WCW numbers. It never really got big like WCW to compete with Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
Well,
And I really think that's what killed wrestling in the mid 2000 in the mid 2010s was the fact that there wasn't another brand to push creative, to push Vince to reinvent
Right.
himself. And it
Sure.
took Vince being a complete piece of crap to
mm,
to cause WWE have to reinvent itself. And in the whatever we're calling this era, the Triple H era, I in the last 4 years or 3 years, because that's foggy to me when exactly Vince stepped down or was forced out and Triple H took over. And now here we are talking about how excited we are for we're wondering if there's enough room on a card for an IC title or a US title or the women's IC title, because there's so many great matches already booked. Whereas 3 years ago when we were going into WrestleMania 39, we were like, we even bother watching? Is this going to be any good? I mean, and then we had last year's Mania being so good with Cody finishing the storyline, beating Roman, finally taking the belt off of Roman after 5 freaking years. Well, because that was something that me and Brad talked about, but long before you came along. It was the fact that Roman had held the belt with no challenge for so long that he never even came close to losing.
That was just too.
And
I don't know. I don't. It just that doesn't make sense to me, man. I know I'm an amateur compared to like I don't know a lot about the inner workings, but just from an outside perspective, like as a sports fan, if you're interested in anything, like you want parity, you want you want an upset, you want someone else to win. You don't want this guy's showing up, he's gonna keep
right.
winning and winning. You want shock value and unpredictability. You want someone new to win more often than just the same guy winning every match, right? Weren't fans getting like upset and annoyed and like bored a little bit?
Would you agree with bored, Brad?
Yeah.
I would agree with board because again, it was always the same guys winning the belt. It was always the same people, and it never got fresh. And then I could think back, like with Cody finishing his story. I forget what WrestleMania was when Daniel Bryan beat Randy Orton and Batista the same night to win. Well, he beat Triple H match. Then he beat Randy Orton and Batista in the same match. They were in New Orleans, and that's when Daniel Bryan became the Universal Champion and the Yes Movement started and everything else. But
oh wow,
that was back when it was good. Then it got bad for a long period of time. It was the same guys winning. It was either one of 3 people that would have the belt, and it was like it reminded me a lot of the end of the WCW where it was like that too. It was always somebody had the belt, and it was always not the guy that deserved it. So yeah, I would say boring to answer your question.
And I think I want to kind of expand on it, kind of explain my perspective on what the problem was. The fact is there was no one else to win the belt. I think that was the biggest problem during that era, was the fact that there wasn't guys coming. Vince just didn't know how to market, how to handle talent like he did. Back in the late 90s, he had so many he was so good with talent. And whether it was Taker or Kind or Kane or H,
Brock,
Brock, Cena, even from like 98 to 2006, he was a genius. He pulled the strings like a
Yeah.
genius. He always had his finger on the button, on the pulse of the American wrestling scene. And I think in his old age, he just didn't. That was my biggest criticism, was they had no mid cards that they could move up. They didn't have a Braun Strowman. They didn't have a Braun Breaker. They didn't have a Penta. They didn't have
Right.
Dom and JD McDonough
Yes.
and Ken Ross and
Finn
LA
Balor.
Knight, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles. These mid card guys that you could work a storyline with John Cena, with Cody Rhodes, with Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and then you didn't, with the crop of stars coming in waiting in the wings with the one guy you always talk about, Brad, was black guy who I can never remember his name because I don't watch TNA. Or NXT.
It just got played out. It got played out. It sounds like it's something, listen to incredible legendary CDs, Stone, Zeppelin, Beatles, whatever floats your boat, country, metal, whatever it is. But then after a while, it's like, damn, we love music, we love these guys, but we got to hear something new. So it's like they finally, I think Vince's exit really helped, because I don't use age against anyone. We're all going to be old. Hopefully, eventually it is what it is. But like, it's time, like, to have a younger person to be more creative with the younger talent. I think and then it attracts more good, talented people. They're like, wow, it's fun again. Like, I think it's just a huge score. It's a huge plus for the sport. It's created a big buzz. Like, you can feel the energy where it was lacking for years. I wanted to turn in, but through the years, man, I didn't even know really about NWA. I just remember, like, Hulk was changing sides a lot, and then I'd tune in. I couldn't really tell. Like, there'd be a really small crowd, then a big crowd. They didn't really market which ones were which as best as they could. So for someone that didn't watch it a lot anymore, I just couldn't get back into it. They just weren't hooking me back in. They weren't reeling me back in. Now I'm like, okay, now I'm looking.
It's Obafemi and Trick Williams that are NXT guys. Their kid that they just signed, one of the biggest, hottest free agents that they just signed. So I'm sure he'll be up soon with TNA. You got Joe Hendry got the most catchiest call-out song of any wrestler I've ever in my mind could do it. And if you listen to it, go YouTube it, because it'll be in your head for the rest of your damn life, because it will never play. And I'm singing it. I'll be singing it at work, and like
I listen to all types of stuff. Like you guys do. I love everything. A lot of different stuff.
I'll send it to you when we get done here.
We all believe in Joe. We all believe in Joe. So what I'm saying is, it's
say his name.
I have a funny feeling before Cena hangs it up, you're gonna see a match. And I remember watching TNA highlights. There was a sign that said "Dream Match: John Cena versus Joe Hendry." I have a funny feeling that before it's all said,
that's
and done.
That.
So we'll see how if it goes down that way. So
the fact that 5 years ago, 4 years ago, we would do a 20-minute segment on the WWE and just bitch the whole time, and now we've done a 30-minute segment just basking in the greatness of the new WWE. I think it speaks volumes to the fact that WWE has found itself again. I think for I felt like that WWE was lost in the wilderness for quite some time.
Something new and exciting. It could be a heck of a lot more than just like if they keep doing the same thing over and over every week. It's like,
and I think the fact that the wrestlers themselves are more involved in the creative process again, like they were back in the day. I think that really that the wrestlers, the on-screen talent, aren't just being given scripts and being like, okay, you have these 100 words to say in 2.5 minutes. Go out there and say them. I think that the fact that the wrestlers themselves are involved in creating their storylines has been a huge boon to the business, because I think if you look at what was one of the big drawbacks of WWE over the latter years of Vince run was the fact that it was all Vince. He would go down to Monday morning or like Tuesday
Oh, now
after
I see
Raw.
what you mean. Yeah. Just meddling in everything, trying to be
Yeah,
involved in everything. And just then the younger guys like, dude, I have a move I want to do. Nope, nope, nope. Say yes sir or no, sir.
pretty much.
He's just running everything. That
Right.
sucks.
That was the impression that I got. It was
That
like
sucks.
Tuesday morning after Raw, Vince would be like, okay, so next week on Raw, you're facing him, you're facing him, you're facing him. You're going to do a 10-minute monologue. Here's your script, learn it. Here's your script, learn it. Here's your
Wow.
script, learn it. Everybody out of the room. Now bring in the SmackDown guys. All right, you're facing him, you're facing him. You have a you're cutting a promo against him. Here's your script, here's your script, here's your
Oh,
script. Learn it, get out of my office.
No wonder. Also, no wonder another good people left just for that reason, man. If you're a good musician or good athlete, and someone's not even giving you the ability to really showcase your skills and really do stuff with in your own way, like create the way you want to create, you're gonna leave and go somewhere else. You're not gonna listen to some older crusty guy tell you how to act. So, like now that he's gone, they're back.
Well, like I
Now
said,
that
I
new
think
talent's back. That's a blessing for them that he left.
it was in the darkness, and now I think it's coming back to the light. And I think now I think it's back, like Adam was saying, it's back to where it was in the 90s, where it's being talked about. There
Yeah.
are people. I mean, again, the internet blows up whatever social media platform you want to talk about, but there's a lot of people that talk about the WWE now with John. Of course, the big thing now is WWE even did one more big thing by turning John heel. That even draws more eyeballs because they're like, wait a minute, what? John Cena's a heel? No, that can't be. Go watch Raw the last 2 weeks since he's come out and listen to what John has to say, because like I said when we started this, John is telling the truth. He's telling them, hey, this is what you did to me. I should have been this way a long time ago, and you through the years have booed me when I'm a good guy. Like you booed me when I'm a good guy. I mean, that when he came out and said, he goes, all you people that say I suck, the ones that are worse are the ones that say John Cena. He goes, you're the worst ones. He goes, because I know you're lying. I know you hate me. So, I mean, John's playing the role very, very well. Again, it was you took a big gamble, obviously, when they Hogan, same thing when they formed the NWO and WCW. It was a big gamble because sometimes it doesn't go over well with the crowd. But this is going well over because it's playing into, because Cody is the shiny face. John Cena is the, so you're going to have those two at WrestleMania, probably night 2 in the main event, facing off against each other. And you throw The Rock into that equation, and I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, it's great. It's great.
And I'll say this about Cena's so far through the early part of Cena's heel run is they're actually letting him be a heel. They're letting him be the bad guy. It's not like he came out and cut a heel promo, but he didn't cut he didn't cut a lukewarm heel promo. He didn't come out and go, we're in Brussels, and Brussels sounds like Brussels sprouts, and Brussels sprouts are icky, and boo, you suck, Cena. He didn't come out and he didn't do his typical. He didn't come out and work the crowd. He just walked down to the ring, put his thing, his little towel thing on the ring, got in the ring, got booed, and then he worked the promo. He cut the promo, and he went in hard, and he stayed hard. Pause. And he didn't pare it down. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't water it down. He didn't go out and say, something like, oh, it's great to be in Brussels. Brussels sounds like Brussels sprouts, and Brussels sprouts are icky. I know I've said that already, but
they are.
go out there and just get cheap. He didn't talk shit about soccer. He didn't go out there and say, well, this is Brussels, and you know what they have in Brussels? They have soccer, and soccer's dumb. He didn't do, he didn't come out and talk about like, you know, he went out and cut an actual promo about the WWE universe, about how toxic they are, how toxic they've been to him, how and then this week he cuts the promo about the spinner belt. How it was the best thing he gave the WWE his best idea, the spinner belt, and they all hated it. It doesn't matter his best ideas, and you hate it. And the fact that in the Vince McMahon letting John Cena heel during the Vince McMahon, even the 2012 John Cena trying to be a heel, he would not have been able to get over as a heel because Vince wouldn't let him go all the way, to go to that dark place, to be the bad guy, I'm sorry. I know everybody loves Hogan's heel turn.
Yeah.
This is 1,000 times better.
I agree.
1,000 times better.
Okay.
I agree.
Oh, dude, the smirk. If you go back and you watch the first Raw that Cena was on, that smirk, he was eating up every boo. Every boo.
Yes.
He looked like the Hulk, man. Just feeding on that negative energy. Just eating it, that smirk. And then to John's credit, when Cody came out and said what he had to say, and John just stood there and took it, John could have cut him down. He could have launched into personal attacks. He could have gone after Dusty. He could have gone after Cody being, the fact that Cody had, that John Cena that him and Cody aren't that different. That John worked for everything that he got, and that when he was when Cena was where Cody was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they still hated him. They love you, despite the fact that you win every week, despite the fact that you're the biggest baby face in the company, despite that you're their champion, and despite that you win every time you go out. You haven't lost in a year. You've held that belt since Mania last year. How many times have you defended that belt? 3 times?
Yeah. When I what was it, like 5 or 6 weeks ago when you were Brad, one of you guys mentioned like talking about Cena being a heel, and at that time I literally hadn't watched in like a year or two, and I think I finally hit something right. Like I remember on that show saying, "Damn, that's brilliant. That's going to bring in a ton of ratings and generate a ton of interest." Like, dude, that was like I didn't know jack about much, but like right when I heard that, I was like, that's brilliant business. Like cinema, a good movie, Batman. Everyone likes like a villain. Like it just adds that element. Like
you gotta have a good
again, and then again, it's a fine line because I'm not like into it. I don't want to sound like I'm dissing it because the athletes are damn good. Like I've always said, they're awesome, world class athletes. But there's that entertainment where there's a script, so it's like you got to have that. If you have that movie component with the athleticism, that's the best product. And it used to be like that even all without the technology, all the way back with Hulk and Ultimate, man. You don't have to have the big laser light shows. If you have like fun, interesting storyline, dude, the fans of all ages are gonna love it. When there's a good kind of good versus evil, it's like a great storyline that just generates interest. I think that's awesome. See, I thought Cena was never going to even touch a ring. I hadn't even thought of the guy in a couple of years. I didn't know any better. He's like one of the guys helping bring back the sport big time.
And I think because Cena could have gone in about how Cody was a nobody, how he was a loser, how he was this close to being out of the business. And obviously that's still an angle they could work up to Mania.
Sure.
How the fact that Cody had to finish the storyline, he could have been like, well, yeah, you had to finish the storyline, blah blah blah. Yeah. That was he could have gone in.
He could also come back and say, well, remember, I'm one of the ones who helped you.
Yeah. He could definitely take that angle too. It's like, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have that belt. That's something that they could do going forward. And I'm gonna take my belt because, I took a rock bottom from
Rock.
Oh,
from
fearless,
from The Rock.
quick, like fearless prediction, like almost saying, oh, are the Rays gonna win 90 games? Do you think like whatever would make like the wild card, like over or under? How many years or how many matches, how many weeks do you think it's gonna take before there's another new champion? What's like the over under if you guys had to bet? Whether it's like a
WrestleMania.
lollipop or a dollar or whatever it is. If you're betting, man, what are you doing? Like, is he gonna hold on to the title for a long time? Or again, with this new
Probably
creative
not.
direction, are they gonna have more rapid fire, different champions?
I would think Cena has to win the belt now.
Yeah,
I think he has
too.
to get
Yeah.
17.
And
I
I
think
didn't mean rapid fire, but like more common when you'll see new winners.
I think Cena has to win the belt at Mania. They've set it
Okay.
up too much to
Yeah.
have him lose to Cody. I just don't see a way they can have him lose to Cody. I think Cena wins the belt, and I think he won't. I think he leaves with it. I don't think they take the belt off of him. I think he goes out with the belt.
Yeah.
I do. I think that's what they. I think that's the angle they. Obviously, we'll have more information coming in the next couple of weeks going into Mania as this build for Mania continues. But I don't see how you could put the belt on Cena and then have him lose it anywhere. I don't see him losing it at SummerSlam. He's not going to lose it on TV. I think he fights maybe 2 or 3 more times, and I think he walks with the belt. Personally,
Goes off in the sunset with the victory secure. Yeah, it'd be a storybook ending.
You guys want to call it a show right there and come back next Thursday?
All
we
right.
can do that.
Lou, go ahead
Who's
and
the,
talk about your show.
All right.
Enjoy the game Thursday, man. Go Lightning. Bulk up.
Enhanced
6-1.
Sports Show.
Oh, what's that?
Okay,
They
Saturday.
won 6 wins.
Okay, Enhanced Sports Show Saturday 4 or 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be in the Elite 8 by the time the show airs on Saturday, so we'll take predictions on that. That's for sure. The official opening week of the MLB baseball season. That's why I said the official, not the unofficial official, but the real opening, as the season starts on Thursday. Getting down to the NHL and NBA regular season finale, so keep your eye on that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna also go to the discuss some UFO since that's starting now. Sorry, that's right, the UFO. Yeah, for those remember that's for special interest people, folks. So keep in mind that. We'll also have our best and worst of the month of March. This week in sports history, the ridiculous sign of the week, sports trivia, and of course, your thoughts and comments are always welcome. The number to call is 512-543-4662. And don't forget to check us on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in theenhancedsportshow.com. And don't forget to like and share the page as well. Because I'm getting some new subscribers. I wish I knew who they were, but all it says that you have this certain amount of subscribers. But I'm very pleased with the result I'm getting. I just wish I knew who you all were. So don't forget, Saturday 4 6 p.m. That's Eastern Time. I'll repeat the number again, 512-543-4662. It's sure to be a very interesting show. So hope to hear you all there. Good night.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me this evening. We'll be back on our regular scheduled time on Thursday. So then, guys, thanks to our women and women of our armed services and our first responders. Thank you for doing what you do. Until then, I am the Sportster Bradley Walker. This has been the Walker Report. Peace.
Good night.
Cut. Great Sunday.
Bye, guys.
Okay, let me get out of here.